My name is Rachel Phillips, I'm your chair today, and here we have Cristina Amaro de Costa and Inês Costa Pereira, who are here today from the Agrarian High School of Viseu in Portugal. So since 2022, the Agrarian High School of Viseu, Portugal has been hosting seasonal agroecology and sustainable food systems field schools that are open to everyone. Each session, summer, autumn, winter and spring, dives into topics ranging from agricultural practices to social and economic dynamics. They're co-created with various partners. Participants include farmers, activists, academics and curious minds. In this session, we're going to explore how these schools operate and share key insights for both Portugal and the UK, focusing on engaging more people and overcoming organisational challenges. It's a pleasure to be here today in such knowledge and inspirational panel from the Agrarian School of Viseu and to explore the important work being done to shape the future of sustainable agriculture and food systems. They've been a leader in agricultural education with roots stretching back to 2020. The school has a commitment to agroecology and is part of a broader movement within Portugal and beyond, working to connect ecological farming practices with educational programmes that support both practical skills and a deeper understanding of the social, environmental and economic dimensions of food production. Interestingly, we can see many parallel efforts here in the UK, and a prime example of this is where I work as the Apricot Centre in Devon, which, like the school, is pioneering educational programmes that integrate agroecology with practical hands-on learning. Our mission is to provide education that promotes ecological farming, regen practices and community-driven food systems, and this mirrors the values that we see in the Agrarian School of Viseu's field schools. Both institutions emphasise the importance of connecting the dots between farming practices and wider social change, from ecological health to social justice, from local food systems to global sustainability. As we hear from our speakers today, we'll explore the successes and the challenges of these educational models and reflect on how we can build bridges between the movements both in Portugal and the UK together. Whether it's fostering better engagement with farmers or navigating logistical challenges or ensuring that our educational efforts are both inclusive and impactful, there's much to be learning from each other's experiences. With that, we're going to dive straight into today's conversation and hear from our experts about how these field schools are shaping the future of agroecology in Portugal and beyond. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you in person. Nice to meet you. We've met on four squares in the little boxes. So I'm going to dive straight in because we don't have much time. I'm just aware that we have some slides that should be coming up as well. So just a reminder for those so that you can see the school and we'll get a real feel for it. Introduction to agroecology field schools and their role in sustainable food systems is where we're going to start. So can you share the key motivations behind launching the Agroecology Field School and the Agrarian High School of Viseu? And what were your initial goals and expectations when the programme first started in 2020 and 2022?
So, first of all, maybe I will take 1 minute to explain where we work on. So we work on the north of Portugal, a part of the country where the farmers are mainly family farmers. That means that they have a very small farm that have less than 2 hectares. The family works there. Usually the man has another job. There are usually people over 56 years old with lower level of educations. And it is very difficult to motivate students to work with this kind of students in agricultural schools that are trained to a business in vineyards or a business in orchard trees. And it's very difficult to motivate them to work with these family farmers. So fortunately for us, we are working with these farmers since the beginning of the century. And it was difficult to involve students all the way and the population and even other colleagues from the school. During the COVID, we had this amazing program to sponsor students to come back to the school during the summer. So during 2 months is August and September. And we decided to use this opportunity to invite them to work with the farmers and to do some research with these family farmers while they were doing some research, gaining some research skills in the School of Agriculture, or the Agrarian School, as you said. And it was very nice to have this opportunity because indeed we were able to engage these 2 different worlds. And also it was an opportunity to bring students from other schools, from sociology, health school, and it gives us the opportunity to have broader discussions about what we wanted when we are working, trying to help these farmers to become better farmers, to adopt agroecological practices, to give value to the traditional knowledge they have, to the biodiversity and the landscape they kept, to the role of women in these farms, because most of the times there's a woman that is there on the day-to-day life. And after that, we get enthusiastic with the success of this first school, and we decided to continue doing it and call it the autumn, the winter, the spring school in a shorter period. So the schools are now 3 days usually, and they are all the time in the farm with the farmers. We try most of the times that the farmer is the one that is the professor, the one sharing the ideas, the thoughts, the problems. And we try also to test solutions based on what they need and what we can provide on supporting them. And we are doing it on a basis of people wanting to go and participate sometimes, or sponsoring with research projects that we have, and always towards problems that we are researching. And they can be from biopreparations in alternative to pesticide use. It can be biocultural memories like the singing or the work with the wool and the linen. It can be conceptual. So it can be anything that in that time, in that moment, it makes sense for us in this community that we are building with now, with students, with people from Viseu, with people from Lisbon, with technicians, with people that want to participate and come together with us to bring and to help this agroecological movement in Portugal.
Thank you. Would you like to move on to curriculum, or would you like to add anything?
It's a little bit in the sequence. So thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you for being here. We are very happy to share this work that we are doing in Portugal. And I think that the thing that for me is more appealing in the construction of these schools, it's really a co-construction. So we have like this moat, this thing that we want to talk about, and we have these local associations, researchers from other institutes. We have like this set of people, and we work together in the co-construction of the curriculum for this school. And as Cristina said, now we are doing it within 3 days, and we do it in the afternoon, so it's from 2 p.m. until the end of the day, and we have also the dinner is part of the program. And it's really important because it's a moment where people share their emotions, share their feelings, share their thoughts, and it's always agroecological meals. And the people that do the meals are also or the farmers or people that are engaged within agroecology. And so for us, it's so important the moment that we are in the farm with the producer or in the association or with the researcher, as it is the moment that we are together, all together in a very transversal and very participatory way. And these moments are the moments where we feel that we are creating really a group, a community. And then we have always a WhatsApp group where we talk, we continue the communication with the students and the people that are engaged with the schools. And so about the curriculum is done in this way, so it's a participatory curriculum, and it's, I can give you some examples. So one of the schools that we have done with two researchers from the Chile University, in this school we have like this very practical part that we have done this biopreparation biopreparations, in the field. So first we went with the researcher to the farms, and the farmer said, this is the problem that I have, this is what I want to do, this is the place where I want to do it, and together they constructed that part. And then we had a second part that was more conceptual, that was about participatory methodologies with other researchers. So in the afternoon, in the beginning of the afternoon, we were together in the farm doing the biopreparados and understanding what was the plagues, the diseases that farmer specifically has. And then we were in our university with the other researcher talking about methodologies, participatory methodologies that they applied and they are doing. So this was one of the schools. I don't know if you want to add another one that we have done. And
before another example, just to say, for example, in one of these schools, we realized that a lot of farmers were using milk to prevent fungi in the vegetable crops, and we wanted to know why and understand what is going on. So we are now doing some research on the effect of milk on preventing fungi on tomato and whatever vegetable crop they are using. So this is something that is building on step by step. For one of the most amazing schools that we had was about the linen and the wool cycle. We were working with a group of women in another project that we had, trying to give them visibility and to bringing them to the speech, the space of speech. And it was an opportunity to put them, the trainers of this course were these women farmers that were teaching people from all over the country how to transform the wool and the linen and to use it into knitting. And it was very, very interesting because we were not teaching anything to anyone, we were just learning with them. And that makes a switch that is very nice to understand. And we are doing it at the national level. And last year we had the opportunity to do this international blended program with 5 different countries from Europe. And it was very, very nice because we used the same methodology, but with an online component in the beginning, and then 5 days in Viseu, where we were with the students visiting different agroecological experiences, always with this idea of having a problem to solve. And it was very nice because in the end they were saying us that the course changes their life and their views about what is food production and the food system. So it is very rewarding in all the way, the students, the professors, the farmers. It is very rewarding indeed.
Brilliant. I mean, you've said there that you've spoken a lot about, there's lots of local partners, but you also have international partners that you work with as well. And I'm interested in whether you could give a bit of a flavour about what that successful collaboration, both from a local level and from an international level, and how you blend those two different partnerships together.
So one of the things that we are not so many in Portugal, and the agroecological movement in Portugal is just now raising. And we have like this way of understanding agroecology that is really about learning and hearing people. And so when we are with other researchers from other places, we're always thinking about how can we bring these people to Portugal and how can we learn with them. And so the thing is that we are doing projects because we are researchers, so we are in projects and we have the opportunity to find ways to fund their visits to our country. And when they come, and then we say, well, you have to come and we will do a summer school or a winter school or something, because we want that more people can hear about your experience within agroecology. So we do this like this. We are always trying to find ways of learning more and bringing these researchers that are part of projects that we have in Viseu, and that are part of projects that we are partners also. So that's the way. I don't know.
maybe we should say that we are not, Portuguese people is not a very good on planning. So we didn't did this with a huge plan that we sought in 2020. We are the desenrascanço people, so we are always finding way to find solutions and to improve what we are doing. For instance, one of the people that participated in the first farm, in the first agroecological school, was a professor from the university in Chicago. She was a professor of management, and she wrote a paper that we have written about bioregions with a student from the agricultural school. And she wanted to come to Portugal to visit these bioregions. She was in Portugal doing something else and wanted to go and visit. And I invited it immediately, come and participate with the seminar, tell us about what you are doing about the food systems in your city. Mm-hmm. So that's how we are building this international cooperation. Of course, part of the partners are members of the European University where we participate, or international projects that we have about pesticides or about
animal farms,
organic farming, for instance. So we are always trying to join the opportunities, sometimes financing them by us, sometimes people come by themselves and stay with us. We had this summer 2 participants so this summer we hosted the 10th International Agroecological Congress in Viseu. That was very important for us, not only because it was the first time in Portugal, but also because it was 300 kilometers from Lisbon. And I don't know if you know Portugal, but we have 80% of the people near the ocean and just a few of us in the inner parts of the country, and Viseu is in an inner part of the country. So it was amazing for us to have not 1,800 as you have here, but we have 400 people in Viseu at that time. And we have, part of them were from South America and Africa, so it was very, very nice. And we have 2 participants that decided to stay there and work in a farm during a week to help and to know more about what was happening in Portugal. And these are the kind of opportunities that we are embracing and trying to support, because this is what makes agroecology so big, and it might help us to raise more awareness and more commitment from everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, in the UK, we have some difficulties sometimes in balancing out the theoretical aspects of agroecology and the hands-on practical elements of those, so students that want to do both of those things together. How do you balance those theoretical and those hands-on? You've kind of touched a little bit on it there, but is the theoretical and the hands-on balanced out in the course, or is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that we do is we try always to have an output of the school. So in one of the schools that it was one of the first that we did in this model of 3 days, we did a manifesto about agroecology so we were very ambitious. So we started to want that people that were, because our participants are people that are very keen in agroecology, they are people that they are interested in that theme. They don't know much about agroecology, so we start by, okay, let's define agroecology, and it was a huge, huge work that we have to finish afterwards. And then with setting the theme and the tone, we want to do a manifesto, and we started, and it was beautiful because we had like women farmers that were very activists, and they were like, no more, I don't know, they were like very, very decisive, and people were like more, let's do a transition, and we did this manifesto, and we did like a manual with the biopreparados that we started. We did a manual that is available online, so we always try to have these outputs, these more theoretical about the work that we do. I don't know if you want to add.
We do it from the technical aspects like weed control to conceptual aspects. The last one, it was on November. We had this project where we are trying to recover traditional knowledge as a trigger for innovation in some villages that we consider that heritage is important and might help to attract new business, new ideas. So we started working in a new village in that school, and we had this session about participative approaches and methodologies, and then based on photo voice, we invited the participants of the school to go to the village and help us to identify the stories, the ideas, the heritage that is there, in order to continue this work with this village. So we have both things, always this ad hoc idea that maybe this winter will be about biological control, because I was very excited what I have listened yesterday about the food spray methodology, so maybe we can think about it. So it's just like this.
Thank you.
We see all things as opportunities.
Absolutely. You mentioned earlier about the importance of reflecting on your achievements, but also those of your mistakes as well. And I'm interested in looking back about some of the key lessons that you've learned, because setting up an education program in agroecology in conventional agricultural colleges is not an easy task. And I'm wondering whether you could talk a little bit about some of those lessons that you've learned before we open up to questions from the audience.
I would say that one of the things that we we did it in the first school and then we quit it and we had only recovered it once or twice, is to involve other professors from the agricultural sector, because they are still teaching like they have learned 30 years ago, and it's very difficult to involve them. And when we involve them, they change their mindset. And that was something that was very good in the first one, and in one that we did about the water cycle. So that's one of the things that we need to do more often.
The other thing is that the students, the agrarian students, are not participating as we would like. So we are not still able to involve them in the agroecological
as much as we'd like.
Yeah, so we
have maybe 10% of students participating, which means this is a small school with classes of 20 students, so we have 2 students per year participating, and we wanted to involve them more. That's another thing. Maybe we should have had more planning on this thing, because in order to show you the impact of what we are doing, we need to plan it better, because not planning means that we are not making any kind of accountability on the impact of what we are doing. Mm-hmm. And that's very important if we want to show what we are changing, what we are achieving. That's also one of our, I don't say mistakes, but failures. Yeah.
Learnings.
Learning, yes.
And what next? So you've obviously done lots of amazing work now, and you've had some learnings from those, but what's the next step for the school?
So we have another BIP coming up, and with more international universities. And the BIP is really nice because it's online, the first part, and then the week in Viseu, it's a very intensive week of knowing farmers and people that work in agroecology in the inner Portugal. So the BIP is having a second session of the BIP, it's very, very nice, and with new partners, Hasdefal that I saw here, and universities from Europe. And we have like this, always this anxiety to do more schools. So as Cristina said, we will be more structured in the way that we will do the next ones. And
we had one school, it was the running winter school, because it was in the end of the winter, we call it the running winter school, that was old in parallel with something that we organize in Portugal that we call the Confluence. I don't know if this word exists, where we tried to connect everybody that was working on agroecology and use the opportunity of having Miguel Altieri and Clara Nichols in Portugal to raise attention to the politicians that we want to change something in Portugal. And from that confluencia that we call, a small network is rising that delivers the Congress in last summer. And now we are trying also to connect our network, our growing network, with the non-network in Agrarian. We call it non-network because it's not a network yet. We don't know what it will be. So we are having these conversations on how to connect what is happening in both countries. Also a thing that it seems for me important to say that we started with me and one or two professors that were trying to change something, and now we have a team of 15 people that came to the school. They are not professors, they are there collaborating, like Inês doing her PhD and other students in projects, so it's growing. And we have a lot of people requesting to come and work with us in Portugal. So for us this is very important because we are more or less one of the 3 or 4 voices in Portugal talking about agroecology. So for us it seems like even not doing this accountability, I think we are doing in the good way.
And we see, when we see what is happening in Portugal, and when we see that we did the conference because we were in the 9th International Congress of Agroecology in Seville, and we were a group of Portuguese people working with agroecology, and we thought we have to do something, we have to transform these punctual movements in something that is more consistent. And so what is happening in Portugal is that we have people that are very eager to transform the agroecological movement as something that is consistent and not some hippie movement that people want to do things but they don't know what they're doing. So we are all working together towards the agroecological transition, and that is very nice because even our the other parts of the movement are part of the schools that we organized. We are part of the initiatives that they do. So it's strongering. I don't know if this word exists, but the idea is that the movement is becoming stronger and stronger.
Brilliant, thank you so much. And thank you for taking the time to explain that to us. Maybe
just 1 minute more to say that the 11th, this international congress was held in Spain for 9 editions. The 10th was in Portugal. The idea of being in Portugal was to involve participants from the Portuguese language countries, and we find the money to bring 10 students, 10 researchers from African countries to be in this Congress. It was a huge thing in Portugal. And the next one will be in Mozambique.
In June.
In June of 2026. And it will be very, very nice to have more of you there, because the reason that we are here was because some of you were there in Viseu and raised our attention to be here.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I'm going to open out to questions from the audience. We've also got a number of people watching online, so if anyone online would like to post any questions, I can pick those up here as well. So open to the audience. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, thank you. The person with the black coat on there.
Thank you so much. Sorry. I was in Viseu, so I had the pleasure to meet you. Of course, you don't remember, there were a lot of people, but I'm working currently with the University of Coimbra. I'm a researcher there, and I work also in the interface between research and practice. So I also work in Idagna Nova region with a farm called Monsilveira. I'm very interested in the new pedagogical approaches and so on, so I'm very fond of this methodology, and I wondered, do you think it has a potential to change actually at the institutional level the way we teach, or the way, these passive knowledge systems have been operating for a long time? Because theory and practice together make, and movement actually, because you just described also the movement part, will really change the educational system. So do you have, hope that these field schools could grow, first question, into some more institutionalized educational approaches? And do you see potential in collaboration with other Lusophone countries like Cape Verde, Brazil? Like, do you see connections across like Portuguese-speaking countries? Because also the question comes from, I would like to research like potential PhD in this. So I want to hear your opinion about it. Obrigada.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, changing the education system is very, very difficult and it takes a lot of time, but I think it's changing. We are changing some things in Viseu. Some of us are teaching using a little bit this farmer field approach. It's not easy because it takes time and we don't have time or resources to take the students to the farmers all the time. But something is changing, and the number of students that are becoming engaged in these kind of questions and that we deal when we are talking about agroecology is also increasing. And I hope that professors are becoming more involved. It takes time, but I think so. What I think is taking much more time is that we are seeing this movement in one of two schools of agriculture in Portugal, and we have 5 universities teaching agriculture and 7 polytechnics, and usually only 2 or 3 participate in the agroecological initiatives like Coimbra, Évora, Ponte de Lima, Viseu, and nothing else. So Castelo Branco, that is near Idenha Nova, usually doesn't participate in this kind of activities. So there's a lot of things to do at the education level, and I would say that is one of the most important obstacles to overcome, because we cannot change the agricultural world without changing the professors and the people that are teaching, the students and the farmers. But things are changing. We are going to participate in a school in Austria in April about methodologies for professors. Not methodologies for farmers, because usually when we're talking about farmer field schools, we have this concern about how to teach and connect with or learn with farmers. And usually we forget how can we change the mindset of the professors in the universities. So this school in Austria is about that. It's Agroecology, I don't remember the name, but it's about methodologies to change the system of education. About the question about the Portuguese language countries, there is a lot of space to work there. And in Portugal, you will find several entities that work a lot with Mozambique, Cape Verde. We do it. So the reason why we were able to bring so many people from African Portuguese countries was, and not also Portuguese countries, all Nigeria and all the other countries came, was because we are involved in this council of food security and nutrition of the CPLP countries. That was a movement that was supported by FAO a few years ago, and that remains active, and that connects all the Portuguese language countries. And you can speak with us or with Atuar, or there are several people that can help you to build this PhD with these countries.
I just want to add something. That's in the beginning, the professors of ESAV, of our school, they were not so into the agroecological schools, but now they are like, they really like, when they are there, they really like, and they feel like they are part of something that is important and is bigger than the school. And this is happening there. So it's happening there because Cristina puts the seeds, and now we have like these professors that say that they really like to go into the fields, to talk with the farmers, to have the students there. And there's an inner transformation that we see, and it's really important. And about the African countries, the organizing committee of the 10th International Congress of Agroecology was really a participatory. So we were me and Cristina from the IPV, and then we have people from Africa, from Chile, from Spain. So, and all the decisions were made together. And it was, for us, it was like you were there. So the last day when Valdemiro, the professor from Mozambique University said that the Congress will be there, and he threw up the flag, and it was like everybody crying. We were there like, because it's so beautiful to see that we are really doing something, and that this will change, because we cannot
Not anymore.
No, it's moving on. So yes, I will be very glad to talk with you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, thank you. This gentleman here in the blue cow.
Thank you for your presentation. Parabéns para a iniciativa e todo. I wanted to know whether the manifesto and the manual you referred to is in Portuguese, Spanish, English, or whatever. And following the previous question, I was wondering whether you were referring to the FAO knowledge platform. It's not clear to me the answer as to how to connect with other Portuguese-speaking countries, Brazil among others. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
The second part.
Just if you could repeat the
last
question,
part
the
of the
last part of that question.
Final part of my question. Yes, it's a follow-up to the previous question about connections with Brazil, for instance, and other Portuguese-speaking countries. And you mentioned something about FAO, and without clarifying, is it the FAO knowledge platform or something like that? But I'd like to know more about that, how you connect with Brazil. Thank you.
So the manuals are in Portuguese because they were in the manifesto, because they were directed to farmers. So the biopreparations manual was designed to be used by farmers on the day-to-day life. So it's in Portuguese, unfortunately. Or not. But for us, it's very important to have things in Portuguese, because we don't have so many technical books in Portuguese. So I think that's one of the good things that we are doing. We are publishing in Portuguese because we are working for the Portuguese farmers. About the platform, so this council was created during the Lula presidency before, where the president of FAO was Graziano, a Brazilian guy, and he created this Council of Food Security and Nutrition that was very supported by FAO in the beginning, and it has a mechanism from the universities, a mechanism from the social society, the civil society, a mechanism from the private companies, and a mechanism from the politicians, and it's like a council where the civic society has the same importance as the rest of the others. And what we do is give advice to the ministers of agriculture, of education, of health, of the CPLP countries when they have these 2-year meetings in one of the CPLP countries. And each of the mechanisms has its own way of working, and the civil society mechanism works very well. I don't know if they have a platform, but the university mechanism has a platform, and you can find all the information in the mechanism. So it's MU, Mecanismo das Universidades, University Mechanism, of the Conselho CPLP. So Council is the Conselho de Segurança Alimentar. I can write it to you.
Thank you. I'm just going to, sorry.
Just to say, CPLP means the communities that speak language, Portuguese language, okay?
Thank you. Just going to take a question online here by Rosaline. For Zimbabwe and its smallholding farmers, challenges include slow rates and the scale of transition to agroecology. Could you share any strategies or your experiences about how you sped up that process? So the idea being that the farmers are slow at taking up transition, and obviously you're working in an area that's seen that speed up.
What we see in, well, we are working with a very specific kind of farmers, where polyculture is present all the time, where they have small plots, so they might have 100 square meters of vineyards and then an orchard. So biodiversity is all over there. That's not the issue. So we started working with these farmers with this idea that they were very close to organic farming. It was in 2007. So we were just thinking about organic farming at the time, and that there were just a few things that need to change to be organic farmers, and that's how we started working with these farmers. What are these 2 or 3 things that they need to change? And the 2 or 3 things they needed to change, and they still need a lot of them, is pesticide use, soil work, like most of them, they don't use composting, so they are using these chemical fertilizers all over the time. And all the rest, they are committing, they are performing these agroecological steps that we say that are important. So in the beginning, we started mainly, how can we help them to not using pesticides and chemical fertilizers? And some of the farmers which are working with us are not using pesticides anymore, so something is happening. But it takes a lot of time, because we are teaching them about the pesticides, the consequences, the impacts, the alternatives, all the alternatives, and then in the end they come to us and say, what kind of pesticide can I use? So it takes time, but it's changing. It's changing mainly because they are becoming concerned about what they are eating, what they are giving to their families, and the consequences of the use of pesticide directly when they are applying them. So they are changing. And also because of financial reasons, of course, because pesticides are expensive for these farmers.
The peer-to-peer learning, it's really important. So when we take some farmers to visit other farmers, and they see that something is happening. I give you an example. There was a young guy that lost his job, and he started cultivating in his grandfather's lands, and he did like this agroforestry permaculture system, and his grandfather was very conventional. And one day, and his grandfather was always watching what Pedro was doing in his part of the vegetable garden. And one day he sees these amazing tomatoes growing, and he went to Pedro and said, "What are you really doing here? I want to know a little bit more." Because he saw the tomatoes, he saw that something was different there. And
that intergenerational knowledge sharing is really rich, isn't it? Whether it's farmer to farmer or from son to father or whatever. We have a few more minutes. Maybe one more question in the audience, please. Yes, this person in the front in the green T-shirt. Thank you. Over here. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for your beautiful work and your persistence and passion. It's really nice to listen to. I have a farm in Spain, and I also work with a local agricultural school there and with students, and I recognize the problem of having the students on the farm. Even though now it's 3 volunteers or 4, one of them a refugee, they are going to the school to do a study, and we slowly start this kind of exchange. But it happens with time. What I was wondering when I was listening, when you do the seasonal schools, are you returning to the same farm in that year, another season, or the next year in the same season? Because what I notice, if they come back to one place once in a while, it's more easy for them to connect with a particular place, and they see a process, they see progress. So I was wondering about that, if you...
We are doing both things. Returning to the same farmers sometimes, but we cannot stay with the same farmers all the time because we have this huge territory to work. And also we are inviting the farmers to come to the next school to do something in the next school. So for instance, one of the first we visited a very old lady that was very political activist when she was younger. She was keeping these boards where she was in the manifestations screaming for some rights. And then we were there visiting and learning with her. And in the next school, we invited her to be lecturing one of the sessions to the rest of the participants. So we try to not only go back there and see what it has evolved, what they've changed, but also to bring them to other places to learn and to share and to see other experiences. So we try to, well, it's difficult because there are too many farmers, fortunately. but we try to do it as much as we can. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a bit like being a tourist, no? We go to tourist always to another place. You never connect with the places really. But if you go back to the same place,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
So it's to find the balance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you ever so much. Thank you to the audience for attending during your lunch breaks. I know it's always difficult to squeeze these kind of sessions in, isn't it, during that time? But I wanted you to join me to give a special thanks for the amazing work that you're doing, but also for coming all this way to share your experiences. So thank you very much, Cristina, and thank you very much, Inês. And I'm really looking forward to doing some work with you in the future as well. So thank you.